What's up, guys? Fish Tank Mike here. As I step over all this wood down here, the basement's still a mess. I got a little criticized for it on like a couple videos ago. I promise one day it will be clean and we'll be able to, like, I don't know, put a chair down here, do some other stuff, make it, you know, make it more of a livable space for you. I think that'd be cool just to show that off a little bit and give you some inspiration for your own fish rooms. But that day will come eventually, not today. Today we're going to be taking a look at this tank. It's been a few weeks since it's been set up and had fish in it. And then we're also going to take a look at what's going on over there. Yeah, let's go ahead and, oh yeah, and we're going to put some fish in here. So I think that's probably the main reason why you clicked on the video. So don't worry, we're going to get to that here really soon. First thing I want to do is turn the light up just a little bit here so we can see the tank better. This is the first of the 3 tanks. We're still working on the middle one that we set up down here. It's gone through kind of its calm before the storm thing, and we'll talk more about that too over on the tank over there that's still in that phase, which is awesome. But what I want to do is I want to feed the tank. We're going to change the water, and then we're going to wait a little bit. At least I will be waiting a little bit. You're going to see it right away. We're going to put some fish into this tank and kind of round it out a little bit more. Let's find our food. What is that? The shrimp. Those are too big. Bloodworms. Those are perfect. These are freeze-dried bloodworms. I don't know what brand these are. Omega 1. Okay, pick this stuff out for no particular reason other than they were freeze-dried. Let's sprinkle that out there for the curais. Look at those purple fish, man. These fish are awesome. Let me dry my hand off a little bit here before we grab some more. Freeze-dried foods is one of my favorite types of food to feed fish. One, because it is superior in its nutrient capacity, and because it has a lot less just crap in it that is in a lot of other fish foods that I myself and other people feed. I don't think I'm gonna get totally into it and make this like a fish food science video, but once upon a time I was thinking about doing something related to food, fish food, and I learned a lot about it. And so if you guys are interested in that, maybe we can do a whole video on it, maybe bust out the whiteboard and talk a little bit more about it. So let me know down in the comments. The last food that I want to try is some of these brine shrimp frozen cubes. If you guys saw the last video, we had one of these in with some frozen bloodworms that we fed the angelfish, and this stuff was just way too small. So I hadn't fed this stuff, I don't think this particular kind, ever, and so I didn't realize how small they were. I just put the cube in, and then when we fed it to the angels, they were just too small for them to pay attention to. But I think the curais are going to go crazy for this. So I'm going to let this thing kind of de-thaw a little bit more in the warmish water here, and then we'll dump it in. Meanwhile, if you guys are bored waiting for that to thaw, check out aquaproshq.com, link in description. That's the sticker, the magnet, and the cling store. If you've been paying attention watching the channel on Instagram, you know that that's kind of my big thing right now, and we've been working on a lot of new designs. So check those out. Thank you very much if you decide to purchase any, and thank you for supporting the channel. Alright, so this thing isn't completely thawed, but let's just see how they take this. Lots of little, oh man, it's a blizzard. It's a blizzard in here. So they definitely pay attention to it, but definitely a lot is getting down into the substrate. They'll probably pick at that. Let's check out, where's the cube at? Yeah, they love that cube. I should probably just put these things in frozen so they'll just slowly come off there instead of just bombing them with, you know, tons of little things. That's probably a smarter way to do it. Clean our cup off here and save that for later. Yeah, that's fun. I just love watching fish do stuff like this. You know, like you get the Sarah O-Nip and put it on there. If you guys haven't checked those out, they're pretty fun. These fish love those as well. Unfortunately, I don't have any, so I don't know. Maybe I'm shooting this before Christmas. Maybe Santa will bring me some. All right, let's go ahead and open our siphon here. Start drawing out. We'll probably do, I don't know, like a 30% water change. Then we also have to hook up our CO2. That's something on the list today, as well as, of course, putting the fish in here once we get everything, you know, the temperature back to where we want it and the tank looking good. Something about the water change, guys, with the water draining down. I don't know if it's the splashing or if it's just the water level getting lower. They can sense it, but they'll start to just really tightly school up and go in circles around here. They aren't doing it super great. You can kind of tell they're still thinking about it. The camera was charging when they were doing it perfectly, and I was really bummed I couldn't show you that. If you go back to the video where we added the fish right away, you saw them doing that, and that's exactly what they do. It's so awesome to see them do this. I wish they did it all the time. Time to refill. I took it down a little bit lower than I wanted to. I try and do smaller water changes on the tanks down here for the primary reason being we're adding from the hose, so it's cold water, and I have to cheat by using hot gallons of water to balance the temperature. So the only way I can get away with adding the hot water and not having it be potentially dangerous is because we're doing smaller volumes of water. You know, if you're going to do like an 80 or 90% water change, you don't want to do that method probably, because it's going to be really hard to make sure the water doesn't get too hot probably, and it's just too complicated. So because we're doing small volumes, we can do it, we can get away with it. I've never had an issue doing it, but it's probably something that I shouldn't recommend to anybody because of the potential danger there. I've never killed a fish doing it, never had any problems. I'm sure they don't like it, but it's what works down here and has worked for me. We got to give another huge shout out to Waterbox Aquariums. Can you see that logo on there? Just barely. Thank you so much for supplying the 3 aquariums we have down here. Hopefully this third one and the final tank that we set up is going to be something that you guys really enjoy. I'm sure a lot of you already know what's going on here, but check out Waterbox Aquariums if you want to get your hands on a nice new rimless aquarium. Freshwater, saltwater, all that. Link in the description. Check it out, guys. Comparing this tank, which is at room temp, over here on this tank that we just did that water change on, this one feels slightly warmer, so slightly warmer than room temp. I don't know where all my thermometers are. They glitched out of the matrix too. But that was 6 gallons of hot water simultaneously while filling the tank with the cold tap water outside. And just in case you're wondering, our tap water, very low chlorine. I have to put a very small amount of dechlorinator in the tanks. Even if I don't, it's totally fine, but I do anyway. I just do that while we fill. So anyway, guys, let's take a look at the tank now. It's been a few weeks since we set this thing up, and we're finally just now getting some fuzz starting to develop on our wood. And I'm not sure if I showed this on the channel. I think I did an Instagram post. The day after, when we came down here, this had so much turbidity and tannins in the water, it was crazy. I didn't actually believe it. I didn't think this wood could put out so much stuff. You couldn't see anything in this tank. But since we put the fish in, we haven't seen anything like that at all. We're gonna get in here with the toothbrush, I think, and just kind of gently get some of this fuzz off because I want it to look nice and pretty. Unfortunately, some of the hair grass down here, the mini stuff from tissue cultures, ended up dying off, and I think that's a result of me being lazy and not getting our CO2 set up right away. So well, it's a few weeks a little late, but I think we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do that right now. When we come down below to our cabinet, we just have the Awaza Filto Smart Thermo 300, I believe, and that's it. We don't have a CO2 tank. What's going on? The CO2 tank and this Bluetooth speaker right now, which doesn't need to be there, is over here in the middle cabinet on the tank that we have yet to complete. And so here we have the CO2 Art Pro series. No, this is the Elite series. This is the top of the line one. It has our 3 valves here, so we can run 3 tanks. And you can see this guy's running over here on the new Ancient Gardens tank, because that's really important for the Monte Carlo. So we're going to hook up a line to this guy, and then this middle one, it will run the center tank if we decide to do CO2 on that. So if you guys are looking for some good CO2 gear, check out CO2 Art. There's a coupon code AQUAPROS. It'll save you 10%. Links in the description. We already have our line in position here. We need to move our diffuser down to the bottom here. I think we're going to put it in this corner. That way it bubbles up and it gets passed around by the output. And this is like an Aqua Neo diffuser, I think. Just a pretty simple one. You can find those on Boost Plant. You can find them on, I don't know, probably other websites. I'm not super familiar. I don't know how widely distributed they are, but they're really good if the CO2 Art diffusers aren't something that you are into. I unfortunately only have one of those, and we're using it over here on one of the experiment tanks. Got our line in here, just tightening this thing down on the bubble counter, and then we'll go ahead and open this thing up. Twist it just a little bit. All right, come on, man, one-handed. Get her to right about, oh, there we go. Woo, this one hasn't been turned on in a while. There we go. Okay, that's too many bubbles. Let's go for something like, try and match the one over here, maybe a little slower. We'll try that out. It's gonna take a while for this line to get full, but as you can see, we have a little bit of too much stuff going on back here. The whole dilemma with these 3 tanks was, you know, do you put a false back on it to hide stuff like that? Or do you leave it open, do your best to hide them so you can do the current serene backlights? You can do both. Like we have over here, you know, we're just lucky and it's shining off of the wall. In the past, I've done construction paper, white paper over the back of the tank so it hides the cords but then still shines it up, but it kind of obstructs the light a little bit. So I don't know, we're gonna have to make some decisions over here with what exactly to do, but we will fix that eventually. You won't be staring at cords and tubes and stuff for forever. I wanted to mention these things again, guys, these CO2 checkers. If you're somebody that uses CO2, like maybe you saw the experiment video where we compared CO2 to non-CO2 and how much more growth you can get out of your plants and how much better they can look from a color perspective. If you're looking for a way to measure the CO2 with one of these checkers, I really recommend these ones, okay? This U shape that bends over, just because they're small, they're low profile, and I mean, I think they're just really cool to look at, right? Like, ultimately, I think this style is probably one of the best, and we'll put a link for them down at Amazon where I got this one. I think they're like 10 or 12 bucks, and they're awesome. I have a bunch of them, and by a bunch, I mean 3 for all 3 of these tanks. Aha, we have CO2. So there we go, guys, fresh diffuser. Let's see how good this is at pushing it. We wanna make sure that, you know, it's not just going straight up to the top. So it looks like it's kind of hard to see. It's going up to the top corner here and then blowing around. Maybe we should adjust this a little bit so it's getting a little bit more distributed around the tank. We'll probably just move this back a little bit more to try and catch it in the flow here. That's really hard to see, guys. I apologize, but we turned it a little bit so it's facing a little bit more out, and it's doing an okay job of pushing it. I think ultimately we're gonna be fine. We'll check in, you know, in several hours with our checker here on the other side of the tank, and if it's green over here, then it's gonna be green everywhere, and we're gonna have that desired amount of CO2 that we wanna have. Are we adding fish today? Like, sorry this took so long, guys. We had so much housekeeping stuff. I actually kind of forgot while I was filming this. Well, we were, you know, the whole point of this video, which was getting the fish in, and I'm looking at them over here. So let's do it. Over here in this little bamboo tank that we set up a while back, you probably remember that, we had spider mites in here. We ended up getting rid of them just by spraying them with water and like taking them off and then feeding them to some fish. But in here we have our Cory cats and we have some auto cats in here as well. They were only meant to be in here for a few days, but then some setup stuff and some scheduling things got in the way. So they've been in here for a little bit too long, very cooped up in here. They've been troopers. It's time to get them out though. And I might just come in here with my hand and try and grab them out. Not something that you always want to do, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a net in here without destroying this thing. We might have to though. I know, we'll grab one of our little tiny nets and we'll try and get this thing out. This reminds me of those little meme hands that you can put on somebody's finger. The tiny net. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. It'll probably sound crazy, but all right, let's get this dude. Come on, buddy. Come on, dude. No, don't run away. Don't run. Dude, it's a good decision to come with me right now. They didn't go down without a fight, guys. We got a little wild in there, but all of them are in the new tank. And based on the fact that all the Cory cats ran down underneath this log, I think we're gonna have to call that Cory Cat Cave, right? Not the most exciting fish addition, but we had to get them out of that little thing and into a proper tank. So I think the goal is to get some more Cory cats and kind of add to them. We need to have a proper school of, at least 6. I'm thinking more like 12. And then maybe a few more auto cats. I like to have them around. They're always a good thing to have in your aquarium. Even if they're not the best at dealing with algae, I think they make a good fit for any planted tank. So that just leaves us with this tank, guys, and it is a mystery to me as why this water level has dropped. Obviously, I have it set up for a water change. We're gonna do that. I won't bore you with showing that off. We already did that once today, but even though this is closed, it's still pulling water out, apparently. Who knows? But let me just show you this before I change the water. Look at how clear this tank looks right now, right? It's nuts. And this happens a lot with planted aquariums. You set them up and they look fantastic for just a few days. Sometimes even, a week and a half. But that's pushing it, because what happens is you get over the fact that it's just a brand new environment, and that's usually the calm before the storm, right? Once you first start seeing algae pop up, and then that multiplies quickly, and then your tank can be a little funky for a while. And that's just a natural process that pretty much every aquarium goes through. So I'm just taking advantage of this thing looking super good. We're gonna try and keep it that way for as long as possible, but it is probably inevitable, as it is most times. Alright, that is done, guys. Quick little probably 20-30% water change on this tank. We did a lot today. We got a lot accomplished. I think the fish room is looking pretty good, at least fish tank wise. The floor is is not doing good. That's what I have to walk around and dodge while I'm filming here, just so you know. But I can't complain. I can't complain. I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I hope you had fun hanging out with me today. I appreciate you coming and spending some time with me. Thank you so much once again. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're new, hit the notification bell so you know when we upload the next video, which is hopefully we're finishing that thing. The goal was to finish it up before the end of the year. We're waiting on the rocks. Hopefully they get here soon. Hopefully I already got them by the time this video is posted. Who knows? So thank you once again, guys, so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.